you, okay? That's fine. Okay, so we're starting. A very good evening to you all and warm welcome to Newsband. And my name is Lydia Odwada. Today we are having this discussion centered around our discussion for today is how will Labour Party win the forthcoming Osun State governorship election? That is a topic of discussion. And of course, our guest for today is Right Honorable Yusuf Suleiman Lasun. He is a grassroots He's a grassroots politician widely known in Osun State as Homeboy. Of course, you would want to know why he is the Homeboy and why he is vying for the position of the governor of Osun State. We'll have a one-on-one discussion with him. Of course, as we do, we'll take all the questions and you'll be allowed to ask your questions if there be any. Okay, so without wasting much of your time, let's hit straight to our questions and answer session. Honorable, once again, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Honorable, can you hear me, please?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
That's a little bit far. We can get that. All right. So, Honorable, you've been in public offices under different parties. What's the difference between the Labour Party, which you are currently with right now, and the other parties that you decamped from?
Okay, let me start by saying that yes, it is true that I have been in public office on the platform of different parties, but it's
please, the audio is pretty low.
You right? I'm talking about this. Is it okay?
Okay, go ahead. Let's see the difference.
Okay, like I said, let me start by saying that I agree with you that I'm in public offices on the platform of different parties, but it's not quite different when you put it. I was the public secretary of the Alliance of Democracy between 1999 and 2003. And that time, I was a member of the board of directors of Osun State Water Corporation. Shortly after that, I was privileged to chairman of the Counter Energy Development Authority of Osun State. That is the one that is all off a little bit. But since 2007, I have been standing for general election. I contested in 2007, but the election was rigged. And in fact, I was in court for almost 3 years and 8 months. But by 2011, I got elected in the same constituency, and the same thing happened in 2015, when I eventually became the deputy speaker of the House of Representatives.
Okay, Honorable, we'll go to the next question. However, would appreciate that your audio be a little bit higher than what it is currently so that we can hear you better. Thank you so much.
Yes, I can't hear you.
Okay, so you've served Osun State in several capacities. What are the achievements that will make the Osun citizens choose you as their governor over other candidates?
Education is important to me. And what I did during my stay, what I did during my stay in office was to make sure that I rebuilt most of the schools, some of the schools in my constituency. And in fact, I did that. I did about 17 schools both primary school and secondary schools, rebuilt them with a minimum of 22 classrooms, because one of the opportunities I'm having tonight is because I'm educated. Without education, not much can be done. I did that, and it's well acknowledged within the constituency. One other area that I paid particular attention to was agriculture. When I was in office, I worked closely with Farmers Association of Nigeria, Osun State branch. And in fact, I donated a lot of tractors and farm implements to the farmers. And today, I'm proud to say that I am a farmer. So I'm a practical farmer, and I've been liaising with farmers in the last 8 years. And so one of the major points of my manifesto is agricultural revolution. So that is again a plus for me. Another one is I did a lot of extensive training to train people in different vocations, and we eventually empowered them both in terms of finances and equipment. And some of them are doing pretty well today. And in fact, these are the bedrock of my campaign, because people actually appreciated the fact that they were trained and empowered. Another one is community services. Part of the community services that I undertook when I was in the House was I supplied a lot of communities with electric transformers, because if you know, transformer is one of the major things that people are always complaining about when it comes to electrification in communities. So we did some electrification, we supply a lot of transformers, and we also built maternity centers in some of these communities. So it's a wide range of achievements, and I've been seeing the benefits of those things, because in the last 2 months, such communities have been inviting me to come and talk to them, and they have been giving their support, and they actually promised me 100% that they are going to be with me and they are going to vote for me, because they know that if I'm elected as a governor, then definitely there are going to be benefits and dividend of democracy delivered to their doorsteps.
That's a good achievement, and seeing that the people did like it and would love for you to come in as the governor and of course do more for them, it's a huge plus. Now, looking at the APC and the PDP, you'd agree with me that these are parties known to have resources and structures that Nigerians see. And now you are competing against these major parties. What are your chances? Can the Labour Party?
My chance, let me put it like that, my chance is not only bright, it's already given that I'm going to get elected by the special grace of God on July 16, 2022 as the governor of Osun State. It's simple. Anything that I profess to do for Osun people are things that I've done in my private life and also done in public life. And what are those things? I've just read out what I did in the education sector, the one I did in the sector, the one I did in the agricultural sector. And finally, these three points on my agenda, we are going to attach to them the relevant infrastructure that are going to make them, formidable: education, health services, agriculture. We are going to do all relevant infrastructure to make sure that they transform the life of the people. So education, I call it qualitative education, affordable healthcare, agricultural revolution, and relevant infrastructure attached to this list of things we are going to do. One other thing that is important to me is that studies have shown that women are disadvantaged when it comes to economic matters. And so, since women form at least half of the population, and when you have half of the population that are not properly captured in economic matters, then that means the issue of women in terms of economic activities becomes very, very relevant and important. And I promised the women of Osun that within the first 6 to 9 months that I assume office as the governor, I'm going to make available between 5 to 9 billion naira as loan for them to trade or do their businesses. The only but there is that being a legislator, because once you are a legislator, you are a legislator for life, is going to be backed up by an act of the assembly to make sure that such loans are paid back. Because the idea of people generally in our society is that whatever money is in the hands of government is a free money, or they call it government money. But I keep telling them that there's nothing like free money or government money. What people refer to as government money is money that's meant for the populace, but put in charge of elected officials during a certain period of time. And that is what they are supposed to take care of. They're supposed to take care of it and create additional wealth so that generation yet unborn, we have access to such money. So the kind of financial empowerment I'm going to do for women is not the kind that we are used to. This one, we are going to go to the House of Assembly, make proper law that is going to back that loan system up, so that we know that if it is a cycle of 6 months or 9 months or 1 year, we make sure people pay back so that other generations will have access to it. So I'm going to take the issue of women very seriously, because when half of the population is not involved in economic activities, then definitely you are going to see poverty everywhere. One other thing that is important that I'm going to add to my agenda or my manifesto, I'm going to create data centers at the headquarters of every local government. People might call it population census. I don't care. But the kind of wisdom and knowledge that I have tells me that it is not appropriate to be governing a certain number of people without knowing them. You don't know their demographic distribution. We don't even know how many children are out of school. We don't know how many that are in school. We don't know how many that have stopped their education at the secondary school level, and we have to support them by making sure they go through vocational trainings. We don't even know how many of them that are already in the universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. If I'm elected the governor, which I know by the special grace of God, I'm going to create data center at the headquarters of every local government, where every citizen of Osun will go, so that we capture their biometrics, so that we will know for real the number of people we are actually, governing. In Nigeria today, data is not existing. And when you don't have data, how do you make good laws for your people? How do you back up your policies with functionality? Because when you make policy in government, you must know what is the target, who are the policies are targeted at. So I'm going to create a data center to make sure that we capture everybody in Osun. I know it's going to be a huge task, because people would want to think that Osun State want to undertake population census like stylishly, because it belongs to federal government. It's in the exclusive list. State cannot. But in this case, I'm not going to call it a population census. It's about data capturing. I want to know who are the people between the age of 0 to 5 or 6, which is when at 6 you are supposed to start school. Between the age of 6 and 12, which you are supposed to be in primary school to get out of the primary school. Between 12 and 18, when you are supposed to be in secondary school, so you should be living. And between 18 and 23, when you are supposed to have attended one higher institution or the other, or when you stop at secondary school level, we want to see how many of them we can train in vocational training and empower them. So that's another thing that is major that I'm going to do, because the system of governance in Nigeria is just vague. It's not based on any statistical data at all. Nobody knows how many of us are even living in Nigeria with just speculation. It is whatever UNESCO or whatever they tell us that we are about 200 million. Some will say we are about 250. Some will say we are about 150. But we must know how many of us. so that government will know how to plan for them. And finally, again, the education I'm talking about, the kind of education I'm talking about, it's not the straight-jacketed one that you and I are familiar with. People will leave primary school, go to secondary school, go to university. No, we are going to invest heavily in vocational education. Because if you don't have this skill, it's like in Nigeria today, our science is like not existing at all. And it's because we are bereft of skills. So we are going to make sure that we direct our youth to acquiring skills that can make life better for them. So these are the things I have in nothing. And I know the people of Osun State, they know when I tell them this is what I'm going to do, they know I will do it because I've been tested and they have trusted me.
It's really interesting to hear all of these packages that you've got for the Osun people, because they are itemized the way that any society would want to go for. Education is very important. Agriculture cannot be overruled. But then again, there's something that happened in the just past election, which is vote buying. How could you match the other parties on July 16th with the vote buying situation that happened in the previous election?
Honestly, let me start like this. In the last few weeks, that particular incident, although there are two incidents, people are just referring to Ekiti alone. Prior to Ekiti election, there was a primary election of a party where there were delegates that were paid $25,000 each to vote for a particular candidate. I'm not going to mention the party and the candidate that eventually won. But we are all living witnesses. Because we are living witnesses, we are in a primary election of a party. Even governors, sitting governors, have to be given money to step down for a particular candidate. Honestly, if you want an answer for that question, this is the way I would say it. What happened in that election in Abuja and the one that happened in Ekiti, if such a thing happens in another place again, I have a serious fear for Nigeria. I have a very serious fear. Nigeria, I don't know what to say. When I say this, people might say I'm a doomsayer, but it looks like Nigeria does not have a future. If such a thing happens again anywhere, where people have to be paid money that are not even solve any of their problems. The highest you'll be giving on the day of election may be a 20,000 naira. Between you and I, what does 20,000 naira do in anybody's life? Nothing. We are only playing with emotion and intelligence of people who don't know the implication of the money they are collecting on the government that such a system will throw up. Obviously, what happened in Ekiti, I'm sure of one thing. For the next 3 or 4 months, that governor that emerged from such an election will take office. Nothing is going to happen in that state. Nothing is going to happen. Nobody is going to do anything there. Because at that level, you have turned election matters to just trading. And in trading, what we know is when you are trading, you invest and you want to reap your capital plus the profit. Yeah. So it's obvious. So the way I answer that question is, if such a thing that happened in Abuja at the primary election of a party and what eventually happened at the general election of Ekiti happened in another place again, Nigeria is in a deep, deep shit. And the survival of Nigeria is in doubt. And so, like you said, obviously I don't have the kind of money those people who are involved in this vote buying have. I don't have that kind of money. And the question now is, will people vote for you when you don't pay them to go and vote? That's the question you and I will have to find answer to. And that's what I've been telling them, that if you get me elected as a governor, without too much pressure on my finances, it is obvious that I'm going to serve you. But if you put pressure on the finance of a candidate, if such a candidate eventually gets it, you don't expect anything good from such a candidate when he's in government. It's a straightforward graph It's a straightforward graph. It's not an indirect graph. It is the input straight to the output. So it's sad, it's painful, and it has a lot of implication on the future of Nigeria as a country.
Interesting. I'm believing that others who are just joining are getting to know that this election is a serious business and not business as usual. So it should be taken seriously. If you're just joining us, this is Newsband, and my name is Lydia Odwada. Of course, today we've got Right Honorable Yusuf Suleiman Lasun, who is talking about how he's going to win an election coming up on the 16th of July in Osun State under the Labour Party. Of course, it will interest you to know that in 2011, he ran for a legislative seat at the 7th National Assembly as a representative of the Irepodu Olorunda Oshogbo Orolu Federal Constituency. He won on the platform. Okay, and Lasun was elected to the House of Representatives for a second time on All Progressive Congress platform in March 2015. And it will be really, really good for you to know that he is a seasoned politician who's been in the business of politics for quite a while. And so we go over to our questions. Now, this question is one important thing that's biting on Nigerians really hard. They say, oh, Labour Party is new. We need strategies. We need structures, we need a whole lot of things. Now, this is one important thing that Nigerians are talking about on this election. Speculations from Nigerians are that the Labour Party do not have enough party agents to monitor the elections. What are your plans?
Thank you very much. On one hand, those who are complaining about party structure will be correct. But when you consider it from another hand, at times, when the time has come for an idea or something, there will always be people to drive it. So when we are talking about structure today, there's nothing like structure without people. People are the structure. So if people are bent and they are ready, that they want to take up the challenges both former and present leaders of other political parties have thrown up, and they want to use Labour as a platform, then the structure is already present. It's just the ability of those who are now going to be involved to be able to harness and coordinate such a system. And this one is like, once you are able to identify leaders from the respective either states or local government, then the structure will just fall in place. So Labour Party is new in terms of going to elections. In terms of registration as a party, Labour has been on for a very long time. The only issue is that, and it's like that everywhere all over the world, people like to operate in an environment that is already made up, comfortable. And those so-called big parties, is because they have been existing before, is because they have government functionaries.
Sorry about that. Please go ahead, sir.
So the so-called big parties you are talking about, it's just because they have been winning elections and they have government functionaries and they have access to finance and the structure of government, not even the structure of party. Some of these governments you see at some state levels, they no longer have that kind of supporters that can make them win election. But they have two things going for them. They have access to finance and they have access to power. That's why it is making it look like a Labour Party is going to struggle to win election. But whereas it's not like that. If you come to Osun today, I'm the leading candidate for that July 16 governorship election. I'm the leading candidate. It's obvious, it's everywhere. People know me and they know I can deliver. So what I'm saying in effect is that the structure is already there. The moment people are ready to take up the gauntlet and want to use Labour Party to salvage the situation, the moment that thing happens, then the structure is there. What is now left
is for the structure to have heads at different level and get coordinated and get things done. So there's nothing like big or small party. What is either big or small are the people that are driving the system. Like they always tell us in politics, there is no big position and there is no small position. What we have is big people or small people. If you have a big person occupying a small position, it makes the position big. If you have a small person occupying a big position, it automatically makes the position small. So what we have on ground now is the passion and the zeal that people want to put into the labor movement. Because labor today in Nigeria is on one hand a party, on another hand is a movement. When you are able to marry the two, then you have the structure you are talking about.
Thank you. Now, do you see Labour Party win the other positions like by the end of all other elections?
Another thing is, as far as I know, like in Osun, we are contesting for July 16 election. I don't have a total feedback of what happened in other 35 states of the Federation, including FCT as the capital of Nigeria. What do I mean? I will deliberately, after this interview, starting from tomorrow, want to find out how many states we have presented governorship candidates and see how things are running. But let me tell you, wherever Labour present candidates at the state level in Nigeria, Labour is going to win. People are already tired of the old order that do things with impunity. They don't even reckon with anybody again. And see what is happening. See the question you asked the last time. When a party will use almost 20 billion naira to prosecute a general election at the governorship level, that is huge for a state that does not have more than 150 billion naira budget in a year. If you now use almost 20 billion naira to prosecute a general election at the governorship level for a state whose budget is not more than, say, 150 or 160 billion, you know there is a problem. So people want to change the old order. But your question is that, which I will deliberately now find out, is are we able, like in Ekiti, we couldn't present a candidate for that election and it was painful. But I'm going to find out starting from tomorrow how many states in Nigeria we actually have candidates for general election at the governorship level. Because I know whenever we present candidates, we are going to win. Nigerians have woken up. They've decided within themselves that they are going to change the system and there's not going to be anything like a big or small party. That's why I said earlier that Labour is serving two purposes now. It's a party on one hand, it's a movement on the other hand.
All right. Thank you. So we move on to the next question, which is, you are the gubernatorial candidate for Osun State and from Labour Party. Why should people vote you? Of course, you have mentioned some of your achievements, but people would want more from what you've done in the previous offices that you occupied.
Yeah, it's when you have been tested and people have reposed confidence in you, what else do you need to win an election? I've been tested as a former member of House of Representatives, as an ordinary floor member between 2011 and 2015, and as a deputy speaker between 2015 and 2019, have been tested. I brought governance close to the people. As I speak with you now, I'm in my sitting room in my country home in Ilobu. If you are coming from Osogbo to Ilobu, there is a bridge there over Ojutu River. We call it Ojutu River, that has been there for almost 70 years. As a sitting deputy speaker at that time, I facilitated the construction of another bridge on that river, and it's almost completed now. In another 1 or 2 months, it's going to be done. So that's a huge test. And that road is the road that links Osogbo to Ogbomoso directly. two of the biggest towns in Yoruba land. I facilitated that. I facilitated a lot of projects that have been completed and useful to my people. And so by extension, if I did this where I was elected to represent 4 local governments, because my constituency was 4 local governments, Irepodun, Olorunda, Orodo, Osogbo, and I was able to do all this, not only to touch a section, I touched everywhere. And I've mentioned it when we started this interaction, that communities now crave for my presence just to see me all over again, to thank me, and to assure me that they are going to vote for me. So, to answer your question, I've been tested, and people trust me, and they know that I'm going to deliver. And like I said, whatever I say I'm going to do while in office are things that I'm already doing. If I say I want to use agriculture to uplift Osun, as I speak with you, I have 500 acres of farm, well developed. I do palm plantation. I have 500 acres, well developed. Almost 150 people are working on my farm. I have another 1,203 acres of farm somewhere that we are doing preparation on, and we will soon resume there. And so if I say I want to do agriculture to lift Osun up, it's what I'm currently doing in my private life. I'm one of the highest stakeholders in Osun economy. I have other businesses that people work for me. Every month, I pay salary of people not less than between 550 to 600. So I know what to do. People know me. They know my businesses. They know who I am. So, and they have assured me that they are going to vote for me. All these are just in office, are just going to be extension. And let me tell you this. I've listened to a lot of people who have gone to government in Nigeria, and they will say government has no business in doing business. People who say that don't even know what they are talking about, because government is the only entity that has three things that are going for them. One, government has character. Government is well defined. What you call government is government. It's well defined. It has character. Another thing is government is a continuum. Government never ceases. Government is a continuum. Another thing is government is credible. So what does that mean? Government is the only entity that has unlimited access to finance. And the kind of finance that can turn an economy around cannot be produced by individuals or what you call corporate body. I give you an example. Go and find out what it takes even to add ordinary 20 megawatts of electricity to a grid. It takes billions of naira to add even just ordinary 20 megawatts, 20 to a grid, or even 10 megawatts to a grid. Such money cannot be produced by corporate bodies or individuals. So government has a lot to do in business by making sure, one, they create an enabling environment for business to thrive. Two, to practically go into business so that they can ameliorate the problems of citizens, so that our children can have jobs. Because the kind of education we are giving our children, we have made them believe that when they go to school, there are jobs for them. And whereas there are no jobs, and government jobs cannot take at most more than say 5 to 10%. Government job cannot even take 5% of people who go to school. So government must come back to doing business. And the example, we have an example in Southwest. When Awolowo and Akintola were there, they established Odua. Odua at a point in Nigeria is one of the biggest conglomerates in Nigeria at a point. They built Cocoa House. They built the stadium in Ibadan. They brought in Nigerian television for the first time. They acquired Ikeja Industrial Estate. They took up stake in companies like Guinness, like Creta Hope, and the rest of them. They were involved in they were involved in cocoa merchandise.
Go ahead, so we can hear you.
They were involved in cocoa merchandise by setting up marketing boards. They built cocoa industries. Government did all this. Why are we deceiving ourselves that government has no business in business? It's because people are not capable of critical thinking. And governance is about critical thinking. It's not something you do by the roadside. Governments and governance belongs to intellectuals, people who can see beyond their noses, people who can think for tomorrow, people who can think for the next generation. What we have on ground in Nigeria today, what I call them, almost all Nigerian governors are bookkeepers. They are bookkeepers. What they do is collect money in Abuja and begin to administer the money. They don't know how to create wealth. They don't know how to create business environment. They are just doing bookkeeping. Oh, our allocation this month is 5 billion. Oh, salary is 3 billion. Is that governance? That is not governance. Governance is far deeper and more intensive than the kind of what we are getting now. So people know me that I've done some of these things in my private life. And these are the things we want to do when we get into office. I'm going to create an economy for Osun State. And I'm going to make sure, currently the budget of Osun, I think, is about 170 billion. I can't place my finger on the actual figure now. But I'm going to make sure that in my first 4 years, I will be able to write a budget of 500 billion naira for Osun. And nobody should tell me that it's not possible. It is possible. If you are not capable of critical thinking, then go back home. You don't have to impose yourself on the people because people are just suffering. There are no jobs. The economy does not exist. I'm going to create an economy for Osun State. And these are the things people see in me, and they know it's possible, and they know I can do it, and that's why they are going to vote for me.
Thank you very much. We wish you the very best of luck in the forthcoming elections, and we hope that you emerge the winner in that election. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you for coming.
But you have not allowed me to campaign. My name is Yusuf Sulaiman Lasun. I'm the governorship candidate of Labour Party, and the logo of Labour Party is the family, the father, the mother, and the child. And I want the people of Osun to vote for me on July 16, 2022. And I even implore all Osun indigenes outside Nigeria to call home and tell them that they should vote for me, so that everything that I've said on this program, I will bring them to their doorstep.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you, and we hope that you win come 16th July 2022. Everyone, Newsman says thank you so much for being a part of it. And of course, do follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channels for more of the information. We see your hand up. Mr. Dan, you want to say something? I see you.
Yes, Right Honorable, thank you very much for being with tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Of P2B support asking, is there
I've lost contact with you. I can't hear you well.
Can you hear me, Angel?
I can hear you now.
The question P2B support groups are asking and other support groups.
It's breaking.
Let me type the question in the chat room then, so that
you keep breaking at intervals. You come in and then you go off again. So just type. Okay, so he's going to type it and then I'll read it out. I'll read the question out. Okay, the question is, how could POSN, that is Peter Obi Support Network, support your campaign in Osun State?
Oh, okay. First of all, Peter Obi is somebody a lot of us appreciate a lot. Somebody who was already made up before he became the governor of Anambra State. People don't know any longer the contribution of Peter Obi to Nigerian politics. Peter Obi was the first Nigerian to test the Nigerian constitution in the law courts in Nigeria. His case is a celebrated case. He was the first person to test how good our judicial system is, and he got victory from that. His contribution in that respect is huge. Right from Peter Obi days, people have been going back to court to test our legal system. Peter Obi is a forerunner in that regard. Peter Obi is somebody who everybody in Nigeria knows that he's a very rich man before he became the governor. Went there to Anambra and did wonderfully well in that place. And Peter Obi is probably the only governor who had exited that seat without being called upon to come and answer any infraction, either by EFCC or ICPC. Such a person, anybody want to identify with. And so I will need Peter Obi to come and at least, I'm still a poor man. He should come and join me to raise funds for my election, at least minimally to pay my party agents and do some little things. And I will expect him too to show his face in Osun so that people can see us together. And finally, having been a former governor, of course, he will have one or two, no matter how brilliant one is, he will have one or two things to tell me when I eventually become the governor. So these are the things I will need from Peter Obi. Peter Obi is a fantastic Nigerian. And what I've just said is not an easy thing. For somebody who was governor for 8 years and he's never been called upon to come and answer any question regarding any infraction in terms of finances, that is huge. And that's a plus for him.
Okay, thank you very much. We see there's hand up. Please unmute yourself and ask your question. Galaxy 10 Note Light.
Briefly, please.
Good evening, Your Excellency.
Thank you.
Lasun. I've listened to your submission and your campaign, and I must say, so far, it's impressive. My question is twofold, sir. The first one is, I know you have deep knowledge of Osun State. You were made to believe by the present administration that Osun State is in serious debt. If you are elected as governor come July 15, what are you going to do about Osun debt? That's number one. The second one is about insecurity, which is all over Nigeria. Osun is not an exception to that. What are you going to do to tackle the high rate of insecurity in Nigeria? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for those questions. Can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Thank you very much. I will start from the second one, insecurity. You see, one of the major problems Nigeria is having, first and foremost, let's get it clear, is about our structure. The Constitution of Nigeria is written in a manner that makes every other level of government to be like a subsidiary of federal government. We neither run what they call federalism or a federation. What we are running simply is a unitary system of government. People only want to pretend that we are running democracy. And how do I mean? In the Constitution of Nigeria, there are close to 40 items that are on the exclusive list. What does that mean? The exclusive list means those items that is only National Assembly of Nigeria that can make law. And one of such items is policing. And so that's why police belongs to federal government. How do you want to police your communities, your local government, your state, when you don't have police, when the police belongs to federal government, when you don't have power of arrest? Even when you apprehend, you can only apprehend, you can't arrest. When you apprehend, you hand over to a police that will report to a federal, some sort of offices in Abuja. And so one of the major issues of insecurity in Nigeria is we have to, first of all, deal with our constitution by making sure that we remove police from exclusive list so that states can have state police, so that local government too can have their own police. If you don't do that, we are just deceiving ourselves. There is no security that can be achieved within the context of what we have in Nigeria today. And that's why the proponents of either restructuring or what have been struggling. I tell people, I'm not, if you are talking about restructuring to me means dismember Nigeria. But if you are talking about Nigeria should still remain, what do? Then it is devolution of power. Devolution of power means you now make sure that the federal level does not concern itself with more than 5 items, just 5 items. 1, foreign affairs, immigration, currency matter, central bank, and probably issue of citizenship. Those are the items the federal government should get itself involved in. But when federal government is having about almost 40 items on the exclusive list, and even on the concurrent list, when states make law on concurrent list, if it is not in tandem with the federal law, then it goes to no issue. So that's where the issue of security is on. No state government today has power of arrest. You can only apprehend. That's what I'll call it. You apprehend and give to police that is being directed from Abuja. And so to solve the security problem of Nigeria, it's not a short-term matter. It's a long-term thing. And what is long about it is about removing police from the exclusive list and making sure that states and local government have their police. Let me at this point commend the effort of a Southwest governor by establishing Amatekun. But Amatekun is like you and I. We are just bloody civilians. They are not carrying guns. They don't have power of arrest. They can only apprehend and hand over to the police. So that's the only way, that's the way that I can answer the question of insecurity. Because that is the way it appears to me. The second one is when you talk about debt. Debt is not an entirely bad thing, but we will find out what they have used those money on. And that is where we are going to start from. We are not going to get to government and start running after why this debt thing. No. While we continue governing, we will be looking at books to see what those debts have been incurred on, and we see what we can do about them. And that is one of the ways we will not be able to even access the previous government. So I can't say much because I don't have data. If you say they are into certain amount of debt now, they will say it's a lie. That no, it's not this much, it's this much. So since I don't have data and I'm a mathematician, no, I can't talk much about it. But what I know about it is when we get there, we are going to see the books and see in what area of economy these debts have been indebted on. And that can be handled only when you are on that seat.
Thank you very much. So finally, we'll call on Mr. Abe to ask his question. Abe, please, I'll ask that you unmute yourself and ask a question. Abe, please unmute yourself. Mr. Abbey, if you can hear me, please unmute yourself and in 1 minute ask your question. Mr. Abbey, I've sent you a request to unmute yourself. Please accept that you unmute yourself and ask your question.
I think, am I with you now?
We can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Oh, yeah, that's brilliant. Good evening, Honorable Lasun. My name is Abimbola Kumapai. I'm a legal practitioner in United Kingdom. Tonight, I heard you, and I'm really happy that I'm with somebody who understands what the nature is and what is going on in our environment.
Thank you very much.
Tonight, sir, I want to ask a question. When we are talking about vote buying and people, I mean, they incline on taking money from politicians before they cast their vote. So, and we don't have money in Labour Party. How do we deal about that situation? That's my first question. Second, the economy depends on the level of education. Education, I see it as the bedrock of any society. But you don't speak any much about that. You want to see what your involvement will be on education, or what your involvement will be in education when you assume office. Thirdly, Yoruba land is porous. The security there is in a state of mess. I mean, Amotekun here, Amotekun there. Amotekun doesn't carry gun. They don't carry any harm. I mean, but the Fulani people are all over the place with machete, guns, AK-47, AK-49, whatever. How do we deal about that situation? Because one day, one night, you can open our eyes and see all our land being taken over by these marauders.
Please round up your question.
Okay, the final one is,
excuse me,
for time's sake,
it's only two of your questions, and the first question I didn't even get it correctly. The first question.
The first question is the vote buying.
Please let our guest
the vote buying. The vote buying. Sorry about that.
Thank you very much. It's because you are just joining us. If you are joining us from the beginning, I've spoken at length about vote buying. There is little I can do as an individual on vote buying. The way I answered that question, and the way I've been answering that question in the last 1 week, is that if we continue to follow that path, I bet you it might be the particular thing that will end Nigeria. That's the truth. If we continue to follow the path of vote buying, that might be the thing that will signal the end of Nigeria. Because as I sit with you, I did the analysis before you joined us, that in a state with a budget of about 150 or 160 billion naira in the year, if you use almost 20 billion naira to prosecute the general election that will enthrone a governor there, then you should know that nothing is going to happen in that state. Nothing is going to happen. Because if you take 20 billion over 160 billion, that means a lot. That's about 1/8. It's a lot. So I don't know what we can do. You and I will continue to look for what we can do. They have run the country down, and what people believe in is what they can easily get. Your second question, education. Let me just let you know, I'm a trained engineer, and I've been practicing engineering for the past 36 years. Education, not only the bedrock of life, education even defines you, who you are. But anyway, education might not seriously at times be the only one you get in the classroom. As a trained engineer, when I was young and I was doing sciences in secondary school, I did not offer further maths and technical drawing. So when I got to engineering school, I struggled a little bit. So the kind of education I'm going to give to my people are from the practical end, having been practicing engineering for close to 36 years. It's going to be a mixture of classroom education and vocational studies. I know that. I know what it means. If you see what I passed through, so education is so paramount. In fact, it's not only education alone, it's both education and science. Whatever the level of your education and science is the level of your development. I tell people, when people talk about superpower, I say it's not money that superpower nations have. It's not. It's the education and their science that make them superpower. So the kind of education I want to do is the one that's going to make people productive. When I was in my master's class in those days, one of my lecturers taught me something. He said, in a country of 100 million people, for example, you need a minimum of 15 to 20 million people who are fully engaged and their jobs are interconnected. And that's the kind of thing we are going to build for the state. So it's not only classroom education, it's vocational studies too. The only excuse I would take from the Osun people is that at that point, we might have to invite some foreigners. Don't blame me for this. Nigeria today is bereft of skills. We no longer have people who have skills that are transferable to the young ones. So our education is going to be huge. In fact, it's the first point, the first item on my manifesto. And the other thing you spoke about was security. I've answered it. I said to be able to tackle the issue of security in Nigeria within the context of Nigeria as at now is impossible. As I speak with you, one of my farms, I'm a farmer, one of my farms in the last 3 years has been consistently attacked by Fulani herdsmen. In fact, just last week, they arrested some of them and put them in police cell. They had to release them. So whatever I tell you here is what I'm passing through practically. But how do we solve it? Before you join us, I said the major problem we have with our security system is that police is domiciled with the federal government of Nigeria. So if you find all the Amatekun of the world, your Amatekun does not have power of arrest. It has power of apprehension. It can only apprehend you. Because eventually, he has to hand you over to the police that is going to be waiting for a signal from Abuja. In such a system, there is no way you can put a good security system on ground. So the first thing we must all collectively fight for is to immediately amend the Constitution of Nigeria to make sure that states too can have their police and local government can have their police. Because we always say that politics is local. Security too is local.
Yes.
It's local. So that at your local government level, if any criminal is arrested or apprehended, it can quickly be handed over to the police at that level. And immediately you go to court or you take action. But when somebody is arrested somewhere and is handed over to a system that will not be giving order from some 1,000 kilometers away, we are just deceiving ourselves. We are just deceiving ourselves. So the major issue here is the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Why those who are at the top have been reluctant to make sure that the Constitution is not amended to allow for state police is what I don't know. Have been there too. Every year we make attempts to create state police. Every year, people frustrate it. So the issue of security cannot be solved in a short distance. No, it's something that has to do, if we still want Nigeria to continue to exist within the structure that we are in now, you can't solve the issue of security unless.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable. So just before we end the program for tonight, what's the word that you'd leave with us before we go, for time's sake? Just make it brief and then we'll call it a day. Very nice.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And once again, I'm just appealing to the people of Osun that on July 16, 2022, they should come out in large number to exercise their franchise and to vote Yusuf Sulaiman Lasun as the governor for the state. I'm pleading And like my last question here, I don't have money. I don't have money to give, but I have intellect and capacity to govern the state and run it like a normal society, where development will be feasible and it will reach the doorstep of every citizen.
Thank you very much. So everyone, this is where we draw the curtains for tonight. We say thank you very much for being a part of it. Until we come your way again, Newsman says thank you and have yourself a pleasant night rest. Good night.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable, for coming.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you for your time. Thank you for everything. Come
Thank you.
15, we are winning by God's grace.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations in advance.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations in advance.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Congratulations in advance.
Thank you very much.
And you will surely win.
Congratulations in advance.
Thank you very much.
We are totally obedient. Obedient for
Thank
you, sir. You win.
Everybody is obedient. Oh. Me too, I'm obedient. Oh.
You will surely win.
Amen. Amen.
We are going to win in Jesus' name.
Congratulations.
Amen.
Amen. We are going to win in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Congratulations in advance.
Amen.